Do you think that Ilia Topuria is on the greatest run that the UFC has ever seen? Wow. Now, I must quote the great Ariel Helwani. Recency bias. That's a very real thing, but I think that Ariel coined that phrase. It's the first time I've ever heard it. But boy, it's so true, man. We do this all the time, don't we? That guy's the best fighter in the world. That was the pound for pound greatest fighter. That's the greatest fighter in history. Like, we get drunk on excitement, right? We get a little bit intoxicated by it. It takes a little bit of time to wear off. And generally, we will let it go within a week because the very next week, there's some other fight, and we come out of it saying the same thing. That's part of being a fan. But I do believe this is going to age very well. I do believe Volk, Holloway, Oliveira, KO. That's a part of it you've got to understand. I mean, Charles wasn't just down. We've seen Charles go down. Chandler's a wrestler. Chandler put him down. I'm having a hard time thinking of somebody that didn't put Charles down. Charles gets up. Charles is a zombie. Right? He's awesome. He was out. Eyes open, rolled the back of the head. It was frightening. There was a frightening power on display. There was a Mike Tyson-esque, whatever I touch, I destroy. Mike Tyson always giving up size, right? Always the shorter guy. We're told that there's a height advantage. Always the shorter arms. We're told that reach is an advantage. Always lighter. We're told that there's a size advantage. Puts them all to sleep. Ilia Topuria, 145-pounder, coming up, puts him to sleep. Okay. I do believe that's going to age very well. And now I must tell you, I don't say this with the slightest bit of humor. I don't say this as a metaphor. I do not know in my own career 3 fights that I had in a row. Like, I couldn't tell you I fought Tom, and then I fought Bill, and then I fought Harry. I couldn't do it. And if you gave me time, I could sit down. I mean, but I don't know. I just don't know. So then to make believe that I would know a 3-fight run for somebody else, it would be really hard. Frank Shamrock was going through guys, and he was smaller than all of them, and I realized it was a different era, but it was wow moments. Tito Ortiz, when he got on his run, it was the same thing. Different guys, different styles, running through these guys, winning every minute of every round. There were some wow moments. I don't know that era should even... I get that that's probably not even what you're talking about. And I think that in the short term, yes, what Ilia did. But I want to tell you 2 things, and I want to show you both sides of a coin. Okay, first off, you need to keep into perspective, right? Keep it in your pants over what you just saw this weekend, because it's not what you think. Not for nothing. He didn't beat the guy. The guy is ranked number 1. And his name is Arman Tsarukyan. He didn't beat the champ. The champ is pound for pound number 1. And his name is Islam Makhachev. He beat another guy who's really, really good and really, really popular. And he beat him in a way that nobody else could. But keep your impressed and keep your comparisons to Conor. Conor goes out to Madison Square Garden. He takes on Eddie freaking Alvarez, the reigning champion at a weight class Conor had never been at. That's a big deal. And that's close to what we just saw. It's close. Ilia is no longer the 45-pound champion, but that was actually paperwork. Right? If you want to make a comparison to Conor, that was a paperwork issue. He didn't lose that belt. But he still didn't have it. And Ilia didn't beat the sitting champion. And he didn't knock out the reigning champion. To just match what Conor did, Ilia would have had to not have that paperwork issue, still have the belt, and have knocked out, in this case, Islam Makhachev. And I'm just to remind you, that's not what happened. Now, let's talk about appearance, right? So that's one side of the coin. Keep in perspective what you just saw. You just saw a vacant title. Very, very different than coming up and taking on the guy. This wasn't even the next guy. It was another guy who's really good. All right, but keep that in perspective. You have to. Now let's look at the other side of the coin. You saw Ilia with 2 belts. That was wrong. That was very, very wrong. And I am curious who gave him those belts. If Ilia brought one of them, it's fair game. but that's a nerd thing to do. I mean, you'd have to be a nerd to carry your belt around. You'd have to be a real nerd. I just can't imagine that Ilia would bring yesterday's accomplishment with him. He flew in an old title from Spain? Like, did he check it with his luggage, or did he take it through security and had it beep and they had to wand it? It's very hard for me to believe that Ilia brought the belt. But if he did, it's completely fair game. They gave him one belt. He brought the other belt. Double shoulder. I don't think that's what happened. I think they handed him two belts. And it was wrong. If it was done by them, it was wrong. Because Ilia is not a double champion. And they referred to him as that. They get it wrong all the time. People are allowed to misspeak. That would be misleading. He is not a double champion. He's a two-time champion, which is an incredible accomplishment, but it's a different accomplishment. You see, people always, they never want to be a two-time champion, they want to be the double champion. They want that until they become a three-time champion and they realize they're the only three-time champion in history, then they want to be called three-time champion. It's like, well, no, wait a minute. A minute ago, it wasn't two championships, it was double championships, so now you're triple champions. Well, I don't want to be triple champion, I want to be a three-time champion because that's a record that's never been done. I mean, I'm only sharing for you, like, these words really do matter. And whoever handed Ilia two belts were wrong to do so. Highly, highly wrong. I mean, I will tell you, and I speak to you as the only man to beat Jon Jones. I speak to you as the true linear champion because of what I did to Jon Jones. I speak to you as the only undefeated fighter in the sport's history. If somebody else came in and they tried to make claims that were not true, that's offensive to me. You didn't live the life I did. You didn't have the sacrifices. You didn't do those things. And I would find it rude if you came in and tried to claim a championship that you didn't earn while other guys did earn it. It's a scumbag move. It really is. It's a slimy thing to do. Even if you didn't think you were hurting somebody else's feelings or you think there's no victims, I will tell you, it would hurt mine. Somebody else claimed that they were the one that destroyed Jon Jones's foot. If somebody else claimed that they were unbeaten, it would just, and he's not a double champion. It's as simple as that. But hear me out on this before you think I'm giving Ilia a hard time. Before you think I'm giving a hard time, he should be the double champion. It was a mistake to hold the 45-pound world title fight before this fight because it stopped Ilia from being a double champion. Now, if I'm right and someone at the UFC, and this really would bother, and you've never heard me even come close to going against the organization, but if somebody from the UFC handed him two belts, that is them signaling we don't agree with what we did. Because you're the one that took the goddamn belt off him. You didn't have to do that. You could have held Volk versus Lopez. You just got to hold it next month instead of last month, and then Ilia is the double champion. And not only did you screw that, not only he should have the BMF title. He fought and knocked out in a championship weight class in championship round scheduled fight the reigning BMF champion. Of which we know is the champion because they woke him up and they're going to put him in the ring in New Orleans in 3 weeks and they're going to put that very belt on the line. Ilia Topuria should have had, they made him look like a fool. They put two belts over, he looks like a fool because you got two options. One, he traveled with the belt, which is that's just a dorky thing to do. But we'll give him a pass. If he did that, we'll give, but still a dorky thing to do. Or you don't agree with what your own organization did, and one department known as marketing attempted to get in front of another department, which is ran by Dana. One of those two things happened. But the reality is, he should have had both belts and a BMF title wrapped around him. And if it would have been done that way, the way that it should have been done, what he's earned, paperwork, not competition, paperwork stopped him from having a glorious moment. You want to talk about was it the best 3 wins in UFC history? Well, had it been done correctly, he would have a 45-pound title, he'd have a 55-pound title, and he'd have the BMF title. Had it been done the way that only paperwork stopped it from being done, had it been done the way that apparently the marketing team thinks it should have been done, then we're not having the conversation. It's a hard yes. But if they in fact are the ones that handed him the 2 belts, signifying we don't agree with what we have done, then the answer is no. And it's impossible to say otherwise. Otherwise, you're standing up, not just to the moment and to the 3 and to history, you're standing up to the UFC itself.